Hey! Howdy, everyone. Today we are going to talk about, we were going to talk about a lot of electrolytes.
We were very ambitious.
We were, yeah. But we decided to narrow it down, and we're just going to talk about potassium today, right?
Yes.
So
Start small.
that is our topic today, potassium. And in case you don't know who we are or you're new to joining us, I'm Dr. Smith. I do family medicine here in Lawrence. My clinic is Accomplished Health and Wellness, and this is Heather Fiore, and she is a registered dietitian, and she does dietitian stuff here in Lawrence, and her business is Free State Nutrition, right? No.
Yes.
Is there more stuff than that?
No, I was going to say that really like my niche, if I have one, is intuitive eating.
Yes.
But because this is kind of a small town, I am a little bit of a jack of all trades, because if somebody wants to see someone, in person, like there are a lot of options. So,
and you do some stuff online too, right?
And I do some stuff online for sure.
Yeah. So if you want to work with her, then just shoot us a message and we can definitely get you in touch.
Yeah.
So today we were going to talk about potassium, right?
Yeah.
So
maybe we should start with like, what are electrolytes? Because I think like people throw this word around.
Right? I always say like, just get some electrolyte water.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
People are like,
what? Huh?
Pedialyte,
what's that? Okay.
What's it for? What's it about?
Yeah.
Why do we need these things?
So like when we think of electrolytes, we're thinking like sodium, potassium. We can even throw, chloride, that's one of ours, magnesium, calcium. They're all the basically positive and negatively charged ions in our blood. And so you need them for all different kinds of functions. And so just for potassium is used in almost everything that we do in our body, including kidney function, heart function, muscles, and even nerve transmission, because you need it for all of your proton pumps, basically is what it's used in. Mostly everywhere is proton pumps and ATP creation, which is your energy creation.
Mm-hmm.
So
right. So like everything.
Used everywhere.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We need it for our bodies to function.
Yeah.
That's why I just translated all that for you.
That's what that means. Aren't you glad we have her to translate? So yeah, that's what that means. We're using it for all of our functions everywhere. And we kind of chose potassium because people like to supplement that.
Mm-hmm.
Drives me crazy.
I bet it does.
It does. It's kind of scary, actually. So what about like, how much do we need?
Okay, so let's start there. And
it's different.
Yeah, as like over the course of your life. Yes.
Yeah.
I decided to like skip over the baby part because I feel like
I like baby.
We could talk about babies. I just feel like for the most part, like people aren't really like trying to supplement their babies.
No, they are. But however, people do when their babies get the stomach bug and start throwing up and diarrhea. And then they start using Pedialyte.
Mm-hmm.
And Pedialyte actually has to be diluted down. I don't know if you know that.
For babies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's powerful stuff.
Yeah. But did you know actually when you're a baby, you get enough electrolytes in your formula? You actually don't need to switch over to the Pedialyte.
Right.
As long as they're taking formula.
I was going to say, as long as they're not vomiting up and not taking their usual stuff.
But babies up until 6 months, they need 400 milligrams in a whole 24-hour period. And then between 7 and 12 months, so when you're a year, it's 700 milligrams.
Okay. Yeah. So then like for toddlers, like 1 to 3-year-olds, it goes up to 3,000 milligrams.
Which sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot, but it's
not really. They're also always like playing and running and sweating.
Mm-hmm, so for sure. Young kids, like 4 to 8, they need 3,800 milligrams. And then preteens, like 9 to 13, need 4,500 milligrams. Mm-hmm. And then teens and adults need
the same
4,700. I forget. It might change when you're pregnant?
It does. When you're pregnant, like during pregnancy itself, it doesn't. 4,700. But when you're breastfeeding,
That
when
makes
you're
sense.
breastfeeding, it does, and it's 5,100 a
Okay.
day. So yeah, that's what we need to have it during our day. So, how do we know if we're getting enough?
Yeah. Well,
How can we tell?
I think one of the things we need to think about is like, what are things that affect our electrolyte balance, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are things that we do in our daily lives or things that happen to us
Sure.
that might affect our electrolyte balance, right? So I automatically think about exercise.
Oh yeah, sweating. I think about the stomach bug. Do you see how different we are? Like she's thinking sweating because exercise, and I'm like the stomach bug because you're throwing up and diarrhea, and you lose tons of electrolytes that way.
Right.
Actually.
And now that I teach group fitness, I hear and I get questions about people asking, how do they recover from their workouts and this kind of stuff. Like that's a big thing. Mostly if it's just an hour, like you don't really need to do anything, like drink some water. It's really that second hour of exercise that you really actually need to worry about electrolytes or anything. So for the next hour, all you could do is like drink some Gatorade, like a cup of Gatorade would get you all your electrolytes that you need.
So you're saying that people work out for 2 hours in a row?
Oh my gosh. I am saying that. Like, I go to these classes.
I can barely fit in 10 minutes at a time. I'm struggling with a 15 minutes rule.
Hardcore. But there's also the instructors to think about.
Right? Oh, that's true.
Right?
They're teaching those classes over and over.
Some instructors teach several classes a day. True. I'm not one of those people. I'm a one and done person. I go in there for an hour and I'm out. I'm all set. But there are definitely people who have already been to the gym and now they're there in my class and then they're staying for the next thing. Serious. These are hardcore. I am lucky that I get 15 minutes at a time. Yeah. A couple times a day. So just drink your water and you'll be all set. I do. What are some other ways that our electrolyte balance gets off though? Well, okay, so what do we say? Sweating, GI bug. GI bug is obviously breastfeeding because you're just dumping it out. There's other actually illnesses that can do it. So if you're taking certain medications, inflammatory disease because you're just not absorbing it as well, and also you're losing it in your stool. So inflammatory bowel, just because the way the bowel is, you can't absorb it, but then you also get diarrhea and stuff. That makes sense. So there must be medications too, I'm thinking, right? That probably diuretics completely mess it up. And then picas. If you don't know what a pica is, that's when you eat funny things like clay or things that are laundry detergent. I've heard people eat laundry detergent. Yeah, even cornstarch. Cornstarch, yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah, lots of weird stuff that people eat. That throws off your electrolytes too because you're not taking in the right stuff, really. So those are all kind of ways that we lose our electrolytes. Right. Also, if you're just normal and you're not taking any in. Because our bodies are using it. Right. So, even if you're not at the gym for 2 hours. Yeah. You do over the day, obviously, as we discussed, the needs for potassium. Yeah, just your normal day. A big one for me is actually getting in front of people and talking because I sweat. I get all stinky. Totally. And so then the beads of sweat, heart's racing. Yeah. We're spending more energy here. So, those kinds of things are all of our daily activities that we do. For me, it's just being outside in the summer. Oh, gosh. Instant sweat. Oh, gosh. And when it's humid and you're like, why am I sweating? So all these reasons for us to lose our electrolytes. So it's important to talk about because people are always supplementing. And do we really need to supplement? That's the question. That is the question. Because really, we want to get it from our food as much as we can, right? That's how I feel about it. I'm always food first. If you really can't get it from food, then you should get it from somewhere. But let's look at food first. There's probably a good chance you can find some potassium sources. Oh, sure. Yeah. What's our favorite foods that we... Yeah, so we often think of, I think, the first thing people think of is bananas,
Yeah.
right?
Bananas and strawberries.
Oh, and strawberries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely fruits and vegetables for sure, but like potatoes.
I see. I don't ever think of that.
I know potatoes get a bad rap just in general because they have carbs.
Oh God, we're carb
Scary.
crazy.
But they have potassium. Really good source of potassium.
And any kind of potato?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Did
you know that it's pretty easy to grow potatoes?
No.
If you just leave them in a basket in your kitchen by the
Mhm.
window, they just start growing new potatoes. And then you just have to walk by and check on them and look in there and go, are you doing okay? And
Really?
yeah, I mean, it's that easy.
Wow.
I'm sorry. We're like little bobbleheads again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. That's better. Okay. So yeah, you can grow your electrolyte potatoes
There you go.
in your basket in the kitchen.
Cool. So I will admit that like sweet potatoes do have a little bit higher
Are sweet
content.
potatoes better for you
I mean,
versus a regular potato?
they have more vitamin A. That
Sure.
color means vitamin A.
Okay.
So and then they have a little more potassium.
So
That's the only difference, though. Truly.
Oh,
Like other than that, they are pretty much the same.
okay.
Mhm.
So we're good either way. We're okay. It's okay to eat a potato.
Yes.
Okay.
You should eat potatoes because you need potassium.
Yeah.
And so then there's orange juice is another
Oh yeah.
thing,
Orange
right?
juice, yeah.
Potassium right there.
Is it the
Good
same
stuff.
also like you can eat an orange though too?
You can eat an orange.
Okay.
It's true.
Because we've talked about that the orange juice is like 8 ounces, right?
It's 4.
4 ounces.
Wah, wah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
So
the serving is very small.
it's not even like what you would think as a serving. So really, maybe it's better to eat the orange.
I mean, if it's going to be more satisfying,
Yeah.
for sure. Like if you're actually hungry for anything.
There you go. What about like the what is it? Grapefruit?
Grapefruit?
And
Yes.
like lemons and like
Right,
any of
like
the
a citrus. I
Yeah.
know, that's a
Do
good question.
they?
I'm going to consult my little handy list here
Okay.
of potassium, the potassium content of various things.
Okay.
And I don't see any of those things on here.
Oh, well, that's kind of
I know, there's cantaloupe. It's about 370.
Cantaloupe.
So,
I like cantaloupe.
so I don't know truly about other. Yeah, I don't see
Because
grapefruit.
oranges, like you would think.
I know,
maybe
makes
they're
sense. Aren't they all similar?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Dried fruit though, like apricots and plum or prunes and
Yeah.
raisins.
You can make
Potassium.
yourself like a little, because don't cashews also have potassium in them?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you could like make yourself a little
trail mix.
Trail mix.
Yes.
So you're needing a little
Yeah.
potassium.
And even a little like whole grain cracker would help
Ooh.
because it'll get you some of your other electrolytes. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's got a lot of potassium necessarily.
But
Some of the other electrolytes, that's just a
It'll
little.
get you some fiber too.
There. Yes. Yeah. And what else? So yeah, nuts in general and legumes.
Oh man, there's this.
I mean, aren't we always talking about legumes?
Always mention
Or,
those legumes.
It's just me. I'm always bringing up legumes.
There it is.
Can't help it. They're good stuff.
Yeah.
And then you've got like meat and fish also. Can give you
Is
some
it
potassium.
which fish has the most? Do you know?
Gosh, is it like?
I hope it's.
I mean,
salmon,
I know. Just gonna say like, oh, I hope it's like the fatty fish. I feel
because
like
I
it
like
is.
salmon.
The first one on this list happens to be
Halibut.
clams.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then halibut, which is interesting.
The only way I can
But
do
then-
clams is in clam chowder.
I don't think people do a lot of clams outside of clam chowder, but I could be wrong. I don't have any idea.
I don't. If you like clams, hey, great.
Good for you. Get your potassium.
You eat some for me.
and me.
There you go.
But yes, then tuna is on the list as well.
Oh,
So it,
okay. But it has to be light tuna, right?
it should be light tuna.
Then we don't
yes.
carry our mercury.
That's right.
We don't want that.
That's right. So and then dairy, like milk and yogurt, have potassium.
There's our friend yogurt.
Yeah, and milk, and I guess here's what I'm going to say about back to the exercise and replacing your electrolytes, which may or may not need to be done after a workout, but you might need to replace glycogen stores.
Oh, sure.
Okay, and then chocolate milk is the best thing to do that.
Ha!
Good old chocolate milk. It's got all the things you need. It's got some protein. It's got carbohydrates because you need carbohydrates after you've worked out. And then it has the electrolytes. It's like a perfect food.
Perfect. And it's chocolate.
And it's chocolate, so it's delicious.
Everything's better with chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
But you probably shouldn't do like the chocolate that's mostly not good stuff for you.
Meaning,
because there's some chocolate syrups that are just like artificial.
Definitely.
Yeah, but there's some good chocolate syrups actually out there that are like chocolate.
Yes, the more actual chocolate in there versus,
you could just have some milk and eat a little piece of Dove chocolate.
You could. That would be a treat.
I love chocolate milk too.
Hey, Ruth.
See?
Yeah.
Me too.
Good stuff. So, so that's the food places, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking earlier about the fact that when you eat your potassium versus like taking a supplement, your body just handles it right.
Yeah,
you're not going to overdo.
Right. So if you're eating it, usually your body just pees out the extra, whatever it doesn't need. But if you're doing the supplement and eating it, then your body is like, what do I do with this? I can't pee enough out.
Because it's so much.
Yeah. So then you hold on to it, and that's when you get into problems.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me about supplements is that you don't know how much you're getting when you take a supplement. And you also don't know where you're at in your body. And so unless you're following that regularly with some blood work, you could get high quickly. And then you don't even know.
Wow.
And then things start going awry. And then you don't know why. And then your doctor doesn't know because you say, are you taking anything else? And you say no, because it's a supplement.
Certainly not.
I didn't think to tell you
don't need
that.
to know about that.
Yeah.
So what are the, first of all, like what could happen if you have too much potassium? And how easy is it to measure? Like, is this just like
it's a blood test,
regular old blood draw?
It's so easy. Well, it's a poke, so
right.
But yeah, it's a blood test. Super easy to measure your electrolytes. And depending on what you're wanting to measure, depending on what's going on, you might have to add a few, but it's still just one poke. One poke.
Okay.
One tube of blood.
All right. So it should clearly be monitored if you're taking supplements.
Absolutely.
Or if you even might need them.
Yes.
Find out.
I actually do it as a yearly blood work for people, but if there's people that are taking supplements, I actually do it every couple of months just to make sure that they're not going too high. Okay. If you're eating it, there's not really a reason unless you're like super overboard eating it that because most people don't actually reach their amount, right?
Right.
I mean, most American diets are low in potassium, so
it's true.
You're probably okay if you're just eating it. But if you're eating it and supplementing and doing like those, because you can do that salt supplement, that's potassium.
Yes. Oh, the potassium chloride, the like Mrs. Dash type of thing?
Yeah. Then that stuff adds to your potassium too. Yeah. So, some things when you're too low on potassium, we call that hypokalemia. So I always think like K, because like potassium is a K with a plus sign because it's a one positively charged electron.
Sure.
And it's a K. So then it's K, and then emia is blood, and then hypo is low. So hypokalemia is low potassium in your blood.
There you have it.
And so what happens? You can actually increase your blood pressure. It actually raises your blood pressure when it's too low. Wow. Interesting, right? So that's why it's important to check your electrolytes if your blood pressure is starting to go high. There's a bunch of reasons why we do that, but yes. Okay. Also, it can make your calcium go low. And why is that a big deal? Well, because it affects your bone health, one. But when your calcium is low, you actually will deposit more calcium into your urine, and then that creates kidney stones. Yes. So it puts you at an increased risk of kidney stones. Yeah. But remember, our potassium is used everywhere, right? So it's used in our gut, and so it can cause some constipation. It's used in our muscles, so it can cause muscle weakness, in general, you not feeling well. It can cause fatigue. I mean, all these things when you're too low.
Wow.
If it's severely low, it actually will increase your urination because you're trying to actually reabsorb. So your kidneys are trying to work more. So you actually will increase urination. It actually decreases your brain function. It'll increase your blood sugar, which throws things off. You can get muscle paralysis. That's actually usually what happens when people come into the ER with low potassium, is that they're confused and they're weak. They like can't walk very well.
Yeah.
And so your sodium and potassium will be low. And then difficulty breathing and like low potassium can be life-threatening.
Whoa.
Because you need it for your heart.
Serious.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So on the other side of the spectrum, you could be too high.
Too high.
Like we all want to be normal, but you can be too high.
Okay,
So then like we already said, when you can get too much if you're doing all these eating it, supplementing, and doing like the alternative stuff. So if it's, and people with like chronic kidney disease, obviously they can get too high because their kidney isn't functioning right. If you have heart failure, they can get too high, and taking certain meds can get too high. Okay. So you always want to look at the meds that you're taking if you also start to supplement. So what can it do? So your potassium is associated with pressure, like we already talked about. And so mainly like if you're taking too much, like if you're going higher, you also get some, so when your potassium is going higher, you actually have stronger bones because you're depositing more calcium into the bones. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
They go opposite ways. It's like I said, it's linked with your blood sugar. So if it goes low, your blood sugar can go high. If it goes high, your blood sugars can start to go down. As your potassium is, your blood pressure will also go down because potassium supplementation can sometimes help with blood pressure. But that's only if you're, like
low to begin with.
Yeah, and you have high blood pressure. It can help.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of times, actually, high potassium, the biggest thing that does is arrhythmias. Causes your heart to go crazy. And it's not easy to get rid of potassium.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you have too much, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So meds that there are meds to bring it down.
Sure.
That happens in the ER. So
that makes sense.
So really, actually, don't be supplementing yourself unless you know where your potassium is at and you know that you're low. That you need to supplement.
That means, translation, work with your doctor. Right. Your doctor is the one who's going to tell you what your potassium is.
Yeah, you need to have the blood work before you go on supplementation. Don't just go on supplementation. So meds that cause it, like these are the biggest ones. So ACE inhibitors like lisinopril or any of the medicines that end in ill, those are all ACE inhibitors. ARBs, like Artans, they end in Artans, like valsartan and all those.
Are those also for blood pressure?
Yeah.
Okay.
ACE and ARBs, they're like similar in function but different. If that makes any sense.
Not really.
So if you have say you're on an ACE inhibitor and you get that chronic cough, but the ACE inhibitor itself was working well for you, then you can switch over to an ARB because you don't get the cough with it. But they work pretty much the same.
Okay.
So the ACE inhibitors, they actually decrease the potassium in your urine. And so that actually can in turn increase the potassium in your blood. Okay.
Got it.
And then potassium sparing diuretics. These are actually more and more prevalent. So it's aldactone or spironolactone, and then amelioride. Those ones are potassium sparing diuretics. And that means that they are going to, again, spare the potassium from leaching out of your system. So you hold on to the potassium. So it's lower in your urine. It's reabsorbed back into the bloodstream.
Okay.
And they raise your blood system. So the big thing that I see, like usually it's potassium sparing diuretics and other like loop diuretics. They're used in heart failure a lot of times. However, the potassium sparing diuretics are becoming more and more prevalent in women that have hirsutism, which is like hair growth in places we aren't supposed to have hair growth. And so we see that a lot with metabolic syndrome,
right?
Or PCOS too, polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Right.
And so they'll be taking these medicines.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah. And then there you go. You gotta watch that potassium because it can go high.
Good to know.
And then loop and thyroid diuretics. So those are like Lasix, hydrochlorothiazide, those meds. And Lasix is usually more used for like heart failure or retaining fluid. Lots of people are like, oh, just give me that edema pill or that water pill.
The water pill.
Yeah,
totally.
I just got to get that water pill because I ate too much pickles. And now my legs are swollen, and so they're not benign medicines, right? They will increase those ones actually decrease the potassium in your blood, so they can make you lower on potassium because they will kick out the potassium. And so potassium and sodium, like when you're kicking it out, water follows them, and that's how they get rid of the fluid, right? So water follows the sodium and potassium.
Right.
And down you go.
And I feel like a lot of doctors will just tell you, like, eat a banana if you on these medicines, right? Like, eat a banana a day.
Yeah, I said strawberries, but
okay.
Or I actually, you know what I do is I just, I heard that one somewhere that strawberries are they on your list?
I know, I'm looking. I don't see them, but that doesn't mean.
I heard strawberries have as much potassium in them as bananas.
It's a noble fact. I'm gonna find out.
I think you should. Anyway, so while she's looking that up, so anyways, you just want to make sure that you know where you're at, and if you're on certain medications, like if you're on a loop or a thiazide diuretic, it's probably okay to be supplementing. But if you're on like the ACE or the ARBs or your potassium sparing diuretics, is not a good thing to be supplementing. So what did you find? Did you find it?
Not that fast.
Oh man.
I know. I'm trying. So one thing I wanted to just kind of point out too about potassium, because we're kind of dancing around it, and we have talked about it because we talked about blood pressure, talked about hypertension in the past. But two of the benefits to adequate potassium, besides all this electrolyte stuff, besides your body functioning normally, other than that, benefit, it can help lower your blood pressure.
It can.
If it's high, it can be part of your blood pressure lowering treatment plan, right? We've talked about the DASH diet.
Although if there's no it's very interesting. Okay. So when you're thinking of algorithms for people to follow on their for physicians to follow for starting medications, potassium isn't one of them. It's not in our algorithm for blood pressure.
Not as a supplement, but from food.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like the DASH diet is about watching sodium, of course, but also getting enough calcium and potassium.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not saying supplement with potassium if your blood pressure is high. So a cup of strawberries has 233
so
of
it does have
potassium.
some potassium.
It definitely has some potassium.
What does a banana have?
What does banana have exactly? Banana has 420.
Oh, so your banana's more, but you can. But how many strawberries?
It's
Did you say
a cup, so it's 6 or 5, medium-sized ones.
Have you seen those strawberries? They're huge now.
Yeah, strawberries are
That is 4.
They're on steroids or something. I don't know. Right.
Hey, what about if you ate your strawberries with chocolate?
Ooh.
See? Chocolate-covered strawberries.
Yes. But
telling you.
Could replace your glycogen stores too.
Yes. And you can eat more than 4.
Yes. Oh, and then you can always eat more than 4. Yes, you don't need to stop there. These are minimums when we're talking about fruits and vegetables, always.
So you can add that to your list, strawberries.
Yes. And then your bone health too, right? Potassium
Yes.
is needed for your bone health.
Yes, because as we talked about, your potassium and your calcium are going to go kind of in opposite directions. So if your potassium is high, your calcium is going to be low.
Mm-hmm.
And if your potassium is low, your calcium. Wait, did I say that right? Switch it around. If your potassium intake is high, you
Then
have stronger bones.
You store more calcium.
You store more calcium. Yes, sorry. Potassium is high, you store more calcium.
Yeah.
And that's going to lower your risk of kidney stones.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is why milk is helpful. People often think like
potassium.
Milk isn't helpful, but it's got the calcium and the vitamin D and the potassium. Like you need all these things.
Yeah.
Bone health.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in there.
And so vitamin D milk.
All right now.
Really, because you need the fat. I mean, really, A, D, E, and K, those vitamins are all fat soluble.
True.
So you need the fat in the milk to absorb it.
But you can get fat in any of the milks, except, skim obviously has very little, but like 1% has
some fat.
Yeah. Whole milk is really only 4%, so it's not that much different, right? No, there's some fat.
Some fat.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Get your 1% or your 2% or your whole milk, whatever your preference.
Maybe not the skim.
Maybe not the skim.
Because
now they make 0.5%. Do you see this?
No. I haven't seen that.
It's a thing.
I haven't seen that at all.
It's a dance.
I haven't seen that.
All right. Is there anything else about potassium? Because we've been talking a long time.
We have.
Good thing we just went with one. My goodness,
gosh,
we'll be here all afternoon.
What happened? So I just want to kind of go over this again with like stones and bone health.
Yeah.
So when you have low potassium, it actually depletes the calcium in your bones, and that increases it. And it's because like you're trying to create this balance,
right?
And calcium is 2+ and potassium is 1+. So if you're going low, then you can create this balance again by pulling some calcium.
Okay.
Right? So because 2 calciums are going to be like 2 potassiums are going to be like a calcium electrolyte wise and charge wise. And so if your potassium is going low, you can pull from the calcium. But when you're pulling from the calcium, that is going to pull from your bones.
Right.
Right? And so that's going to increase the amount in your urine. And so then that's why you get kidney stones.
Right.
Okay. And so if you increase your potassium, if you're having some bone issues, if you increase your potassium, then that's going to cause you to not have to use so much calcium. So it'll also lower your calcium in your urine. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. All right, so we've beat potassium to death, and now we're going to do another one next time.
Yes.
And we're going to have like a run of electrolytes.
Yes.
So what do we want to do next time?
Probably calcium, right? And then we'll do magnesium,
calcium,
magnesium, and sodium. Those
are our ones that we're going to do. Okay, so next time we're going to do calcium. Okay. That'll be in a week. Sorry that we put this on a Friday this time. I was swimming in sick kids. And so now they're all better. They're all well.
Now we just need them to get back to school.
Now we just need them to go back to school. Jeez.
Goodness.
And so next time we're going to shoot for Tuesday, and we're going to do calcium, right? I got to write that down so that I don't do magnesium or something else. And then we're like talking about 2 different things. If you guys have something that you want us to talk about, we would love to hear from you. If you have like a favorite potassium-rich food that you like, we'd love to hear from you. And if there's one that you don't like clams, hey, guess what? We'd love to hear from you. And so please drop us a line. And we hope that you guys all have a great weekend and a safe weekend from all the ice and snow that we have around here. At least if you're in Florida, I hope you have a sunny day. Do you think anyone watches us from Florida?
I don't know, but I was just thinking about my friend Catherine, the chef. I was thinking we can get her to share some calcium-rich recipe for next week. She is currently in Florida. She's normally in New Hampshire,
Awesome.
like buried in snow, but right now she's in Florida. So
Awesome.
whatever, good for her.
We'll try to get her to give us a recipe because we like recipes.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone, we love you, and we'll see you again in a week. Have a great day.